I heard Mayweather say that. Speaking for myself, I'm not avoiding Errol Spence. I respect my position. And my position says that I'll fight anybody in the top 3, top 2, the number 1 guy. That's what my money commands. That's my status. That's what I command. I'm not avoiding him. I think Floyd has been in the ring with Errol and saw what he can really do. I think he knows Errol's potential, and saying all that, he thinks that some of us are avoiding him. I'm not. Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman are getting in the ring to fight. That's number 1 and number 2. They're not avoiding him. He's supposed to have the fight with Kell Brook dating back to I don't know how long. So if anybody is avoiding or ducking Errol Spence, it's Kell Brook. He's the mandatory fighter to that title. I fought Kell Brook when he was the mandatory. It's only right that he does the same thing. I don't know what's taking him so long. Those are the words of Shawn Porter talking about or reacting to Mayweather's recent comment that Shawn Porter and several other welterweights are ducking Errol Spence. You know, when Errol Spence first turned professional, there were stories of him going into the Mayweather gym and giving Mayweather and several other fighters, including Adrian Broner, the business in sparring. And I'd even heard about a bust-up between Errol Spence and Floyd Mayweather because Errol Spence had, according to some people, got the better of Mayweather in a particular sparring session. And Mayweather actually took offense and had some type of altercation, argument with Spence, where Spence was briefly either kicked out of the gym or banned for the gym, something like that. That's what I heard. They patched things up. And after they patched things up and Errol Spence was brought back in, Mayweather tried to put Errol Spence under his wing. And he tried to use Errol Spence as an attack dog and a deflector shield, because there were certain fighters calling Mayweather out at the time, people like Keith Thurman and whatnot. And Mayweather was like, no, you ain't fighting me, fight Errol Spence. He was pushing Errol Spence in the direction of all the fighters that were calling him out. Yeah, which I felt was kind of a, an iffy move by Floyd. Floyd is a great fighter, obviously, but he was never a guy to be taken on all comers. He was a guy who picked his battles carefully. Not to say he didn't fight good fighters. He certainly did fight good fighters, but he picked his battles carefully. Boxing, as you'll hear many managers and promoters say a lot of the time, is all about timing. Taking the right fights at the right time when you think certain opponents are there for you to beat them. Maybe they're too green. Maybe they're slightly past it. Maybe they're coming off an injury, so on and so forth. And Mayweather was very good at that. Excellent at that, actually. Him and his team. Yeah. Not to say that was the case every time, no. But they were good at doing that. So I do think it's a bit rich of Mayweather to be coming out and talking about these guys won't fight Errol Spence. Mayweather was in no rush to fight Errol Spence. Mayweather was in no rush to fight the guys who he's criticizing. Just some food for thought. But as far as what Shawn Porter's saying here, that he's only fighting the top guys, is that ducking Errol Spence? I don't know. I mean, has Errol Spence called Shawn Porter out? I don't know if he has. Maybe he has. I'm not aware. But certainly Errol Spence has this mandatory fight with Kell Brook, and Porter obviously talked about that there. That is Errol Spence's route that he's trying to go at the moment. Understandably so. So unless he's gunning for Shawn Porter or whatever, then I don't see how Shawn Porter can be accused of ducking Errol Spence at this point. Yes, he did say that he wants to fight the top 2 or top 3 guys. I guess the only problem with that is he's just lost to Keith Thurman, although it was a very close fight. Some people did think that Shawn Porter won it. So yeah, maybe he can get a rematch with the Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia winner. Maybe he can. Although Amir Khan will be the WBC mandatory challenger as long as he stays unbeaten until then. I mean, he's been beaten obviously, but I'm talking about doesn't suffer another loss before he exercises his WBC mandatory opportunity. So the winner may have to face Khan before Shawn Porter gets the opportunity to fight the winner of Furman Garcia. So we'll see what goes on there. But yeah, for now, I can understand Shawn Porter's position. He wants to fight the top guys. Errol Spence is on the cusp of fighting the top guys. Once he gets in there, if he gets in there with Kell Brook, or maybe Kell Brook vacates and Errol Spence fights somebody for the vacant belt. In fact, I should have done my research before making this video, but I'd like to see who's number 2 behind Errol Spence in the IBF welterweight rankings, because if Kell Brook does vacate, that's who Errol Spence will be fighting, if that person accepts it, because they don't always accept when they're put into these positions. But because it will be for a vacant title, I think they're more likely to accept. When it's a final eliminator, a lot of fighters turn it down when the other half of the equation is very dangerous. They often turn it down and go an easier route to a title. But when it's an actual title shot, there should be a decent amount of people in the IBF top 10 that are willing to fight Errol Spence for the vacant belt. So we'll see how it goes. Let me know what you think about Floyd Mayweather's comments here, people. Are these guys all ducking Errol Spence, or do you agree with Shawn Porter that the only person who's really ducking Errol Spence at the moment is Kell Brook? Let me know how you feel. It's happening. I'm out.